Hello everybody, it's me, Farham. We're here with some Path of Exile 2, coming in again with the Monk, taking a look at how we can take this build from the evasion rating build that we had last time, which was all about evasion, life pool, energy shield, taking that, turning it into a really solid CI tank that's still capable of doing some solid map clear, average boss killing time, certainly the sort of build that you can start farming some real currency with I'm going to say about mid-investment. I've spent no more than a divine on any single item in this gear, in this setup. And I've got a perfect jeweler's orb, but you don't need that. I got it because I was being greedy. You can definitely do this one on a budget, and it works quite well. And you can even get it CI on a budget. I'll tell you where about those sorts of breakpoints are and what sort of numbers you want to be looking for. That switch over. Let's get right on into the passive skill tree. So passives then, and there will be a mobalytics guide in the description of this video. Hopefully it's updated at the time this video comes out. That does depend on my own competence. I'm pretty sure I can get it updated in time. But anyway, let's talk through these skills, starting with the ascendancies. So we've got all of our ascendancies at this point. We started off going, I am the Blizzard and I shall rage. This is because at the moment we are only doing frost damage. We will eventually be switching over to lightning as well. But for the moment, we're focusing in purely on that cold damage. Unbound Avatar gives you that oh shit button. It's really good against bosses as well. Anything that can increase our damage against bosses is really, really important, because that is really where this build lacks a little bit. I say a little bit. It's still pretty good. Next up, we take Lead Me Through Grace. This is to get all our spirit. We need lots of spirit for all the auras we're running. We're basically an aura stacker, right? So that's giving us 123 spirit, which is nice and tasty. And lastly, we're going to go to Faith is a Choice, which gives us the skill Meditate, which we will cover off support gems and things for that later, or personally just how I like to run it. It's a bit of a user's choice, that one, but that is what is giving us this big, juicy 13,000 shield here, and we can press a button to get that basically whenever we want, as long as we're not getting hit around, but it's very, very good. So let's look at the skill tree as a wider tree. So we're level 87 at the moment, and our next level ups will be going towards getting a freeze build up, so that'll be going here and here. That is to start the transition over to using Herald of Thunder as well as Herald of Ice. But looking at what we've got assigned at the moment, we come up to Flow Like Water, grab Mindful Awareness and Step Like Mist. Mindful Awareness is very good for our energy shield. We're also going to grab Flow State. We still want that skill speed and mana regen. Crashing Wave is great for damage. Moment of Truth, great for damage. Come around for Immaterial. This is again going to give us a load of evasion rating while we have energy shield. We've always got energy shield. If we don't have energy shield, we are having a dirt nap. Grab Killer Instinct. So Killer Instinct, I think, is absolutely integral for this build, and I will show you why. And you can actually see this one in the skill gem. So you see our Ice Strike at 58,000.
I must meditate.
Let's refund some passives. If I refund this, and then Cat sits in the way. Cheers. Then go to our skill gems. You see it's come down to 44,000. So we get both the 30% and 50%, I do believe, from this, while being one life from CI. And the way I can show that is if I take off CI, we only lose about 9,000 because we're still on full life now. But now when we put CI back on, we're on full life and low life at the same time, giving us a huge bonus, making Killer Instinct an absolutely brilliant node. I've seen a couple of builds where that's not being taken with the CI side of things, and I think that's a miss. I think Killer Instinct's really strong. Up here, we're taking True Strike for the Jugular and Deadly Force. We come up and we grab Deep Trance as well as Inner Faith. This is, again, we want that evasion rating, we want the energy shield, we want the attack speed. Attack speed's still very strong. We come up and we grab Spectral Ward as well for energy shield for evasion rating. We've got big evasion rating on our chest, so that gives us a lot of energy shield. We come up this way to grab Chaos Inoculation, so we don't have to worry about Chaos damage. That's why we've not taken any Chaos resistance as the build guides have progressed. And then we are coming up to grab Patient Barrier. 60% increased maximum energy shield is huge. You really, really do want that note. Branching off from the start, so this is where we have made some significant changes. We've actually come round towards the Witch side of the tree. We've some crit hit chance there, so we've grabbed that. Crit base build, that's always good. There's two very, very good energy shield nodes here. Melding and Insightfulness, also increasing our intelligence, which is good, because all our mana is being converted to more energy shield, so that's very strong. Then we come down this side, there's another 28% maximum energy shield there. and another 30% increased maximum energy shield there, giving us that nice, juicy base 6.6k energy shield. As we come down towards the quarterstaff node, we are still grabbing these quarterstaff nodes here, Whirling Assault and Martial Artistry. Coming down to grab Coming Calamity, we're always affected by Herald of Ice, we want that 50% cold damage. And then we're still grabbing the crit nodes down here. What we have sacrificed to go CI is a lot of this evasion nodes here. We have a look at the character screen now. We've gone from about 87 to 74% evasion, but that's a fine trade-off when you consider we're not taking chaos damage at all anymore. So far, this tree is working really, really well. We're level 87. There's definitely more points that can be had. I think freeze build-up is the next one for ensuring that we can get some decent freeze without having to rely on the ring. I would like very much to be able to swap the rings and go for more magic find, more rarity. At the moment, that's looking quite broken. So being forced into a unique ring that doesn't give that is definitely not what we want. Speaking of rings, let's move on and take a quick look at the gear. Didn't make a joke about my arsehole. The gear then. So let's talk about what's important on the left-hand side. These resistances, get them all to 75. If you can get them actually up to 90, that covers you against some curses and stuff. It's better to have them at 90, and then you can run more modifiers. But get them to at least 75. You don't have to worry about the chaos resistance, and you want this energy shield number as big as you can get it. Bigger is better. Right, now we've got that clarified. Let's look at the individual pieces. So, are there any uniques that are 100% required for this once you come into mapping? Yes. At this stage, getting the Pulsarkeln, pronunciation butchered, I'm terribly sorry. Getting this is very important. It's what makes everything explode. It means if we chill something, then it will explode like it's frozen from the Herald of Ice. This is really important. You can get away without it to start with, but it's going to really speed up your clear experience. It's going to enable us to do what we're about to see in breaches. It really is going to be quite a build-defining item at this stage. Later on, we will be dropping it. That will come in a later build guide once we've figured out and this a bit more and accumulate some currency. That will be more investment, but you will need to pick up one of these. Next most of there's two more really, really, really important items that we're going to go through. Your weapon. You need a quarterstaff, and it needs to have really high physical damage. If you can get crit chance and attack speed on there as well, you are going to be laughing. Something like this is pretty much what you want to be looking for. You should be able to pick up something like this for a divine or two. I would recommend investing at least that in a weapon. Get something with at least 420 to 450 Fizz DPS as your first. If you can afford more than that, then do so. But keep in mind, you might want a bit more currency for some of these other items. Next up, very, very important, get yourself a high evasion rating energy shield chest. You're going to want to be running at least an extra 120 spirit to fit in all the skill gems that we want today. For that, you're going to need something that looks like it has those ratings. So for each energy shield we get, for each 6 energy shield we get a spirit. For each 15 evasion rating we get a spirit. So you're going to want 900 evasion rating, 360 energy shield to get that 120. Next up, I think a big investment piece is your helmet. You're going to be using this to round off resistances, and you want something with a really high energy shield base. This is going to play into what I think is going to be the best neck blessing. Although we don't have that yet, it's quite expensive. It's about 5 or 6 divines in itself, but we'll be getting a 70% boost on that energy shield later, so I would invest high energy shield helmet there. Looking at the neck, this thing's quite expensive. You can swap this out with a rare that gives you evasion, energy shield, resistances if you need it, and if you can get one with item rarity, that would be great. At the moment, we're using the Everlasting Gaze because it gives us, if we look here, 6,000, 5,000. That is giving us about 1,400 energy shield. That's really good for our survivability. You can get away without it, though. As long as you've got over 5,000 energy shield, you're pretty much safe for mapping. I'm running that basically because I haven't found a rare that I'd like to replace it with yet. But it's very good. It can shore up your energy shield if you've got a low energy shield helmet or you've not managed to pick up energy shield elsewhere. But I think they're running at about 1 divine at least at the moment. I don't think they're going for cheaper. Alright, looking at our other ring, we've picked up a breach ring, and it's not great. It gives us some max mana, and our mana's getting converted into energy shield, so that's nice. It shores up a couple of resistances, but the reason I found this doing a breach, it had the suffix and prefix of rarity, so I thought let's just try it and see if it increases our drop chances a bit. 40% rarity's kind of a lot, and if we can get the ingenuity later, that should tie in quite nicely. What you want to be looking for on your ring, other ring, is your resistances, right? You need to make sure those resistances are shored up. If you can get things like mana, that's important. Stuff like life is not going to be important at all because we've gone CI. You can start just dropping life from everything. But mana, energy shield, mana. You can get, if you get lightning damage or cold damage on your ring, that would be really, really good. Cold damage or lightning damage like we've got on the gloves, if you can get that on the ring slot, that would be nice. That's going to build into something later, so maybe keep an eye out for those stats. On boots, I've prioritised 35% increased movement speed and shoring up the resistances as the two things. Other than that, just gone for a high energy shield as I could find. They were reasonably cheap. They were exalted, like 40, 50 exalteds. They weren't like 5 exalts, but you should be able to pick up something like that. Obviously, the life regen and max life are completely crap. Don't need those at all, but it does the job for getting our resistances and getting us moving around the map. On gloves, we've gone for +2 level of all melee skills, increase attack speed, leech damage as mana, as well as add cold damage and lightning damage. That's to play into our heralds a bit later. The max life is a bit of a waste for us. It's evasion rating base. It'd be better if it was an ES base at this point, but those are really, really good stats. So if you can get those and drop the ES and pick them up on an evasion base, that's fine. Evasion's still good, right? We're still dodging stuff. And lastly, we've got the belt. Nothing really special here. Just use it to shore up resistances again. Make sure it's got some mana on it, and that's about it, really. That's the gear. Oh, and of course, we've got a frozen charm, because being frozen absolutely does suck. And a mana potion, which isn't even the best mana potion, because I hardly ever press it anyway, because we leech all our mana back. Don't really need the potions. The life potion does nothing, because we have 1 life. And yeah, that's the gear. Works quite well. Wasn't too expensive. Alright, last up before the showcase of all the showcases then, let's take a look at this gear. So, look at these skills, sorry. So the first 2 skills we are inheriting from our tree. We've got Unbound Avatar and Meditate. In Unbound Avatar, we've got Persistence, because it doesn't last very long. That helps it last longer. And then we've got the Fire, Lightning, and Cold Masteries in there. There's not really very much that affects Unbound Avatar, but the +1 gem levels is fine, and that's nice enough for it. On Meditate, I'm running this with Ingenuity for the cooldown rate, Arcane Tempo for the cast speed. I wasn't using Arcane Tempo anywhere else, so it seemed fine. And Second Wind, I've been enjoying running it with Second Wind because it's basically always got a charge, because the way it works. Because you kind of charge your shield for a while, and then it's recharging its skill while you're using it the first time. I think it works really, really well with it. I've not seen many people running that on it, but I've been enjoying that. It's working quite well. Next up, we've got Tempest Spell. So this we're running 4 link, and we have put in Font of Rage, but we're running Overabundance so that we've, similar to Second Wind for the bell, it means the bell's always on recharge even when you put one down, and it just really helps the flow of combat. I think it's really, really good. And it is about that flow when your combo hits are generating your next bell when you've got a bell down. That works very well there. Heft for maximum physical damage, just gives it some tasty damage. Heavy Swing, same thing, more melee physical damage. It's pretty good. And we've stuck Font of Rage on this, so every time we hit it, we generate 2 rage. I think you can go up to 30 rage, and each point of rage gives you 1% extra damage. It's really there for those boss fights and those tough elites. In fact, you don't really notice it on the tough elites, but on the boss fights, the 30% damage is quite nice. Next up, we have our skill there. We've invested a little bit of currency. Now, you can get away without this being 5 slot for now, but that is quite a lot of damage from that 5th slot, right? That is a lot of single target damage coming from that. So this is really where you want to be getting your first perfect Jeweler's Orb. Can't stress that enough. But in Ice Strike, we've got Martial Tempo, Ice Bite, Primal Armament, Cold Infusion, and then Concentrated Effect. And that will be beefing that damage up quite nicely. It's pretty good against bosses. Next up, we have our Curse support. So we've got Hand of Chayula. That's running Hypothermia and Freezing Mark. Make sure Hypothermia is on the far left. And that's also running Heightened Curse, so that just helps us freeze the bosses, helps us do a little bit more damage on those prolonged fights. Works quite well. Nice opener as well, it teleports you a bit across the map, which is quite good. Almost just elbowed my cat as she jumped onto the table. But the next skill we have up is Herald of Ice. So with this, we are running Magnified Effect, Long Shot, because as the explosions proliferate out, the hits are actually quite far away from you. That works quite well. Cold Penetration to get through 30% of the cold resistance. And Ambush, it's generally hitting things that are on full life, so 100% more crit chance. Always has that. Pretty nice. Then we're up to our first defensive aura, which is Wind Dancer, which we're running Blind, Culling Strike, and Cold cold exposure. Now that seems kind of weird to be running blind and culling strike, but the way Wind Dancer works is when you get hit, Gale Force goes off. Gale Force is an attack, so that can block blind, culling strike, and cold exposure, effectively applying those effects at a point when we need them, right? So that's why we run those support gems in there. Next up, we've got our big sort of dump damage ability, and that is Elemental Invocation. So this is a meta gem, and we use this to trigger Ball Lightning. We use it to hit the bells lots of times. So what we're doing is we're casting Ball Lightning, but they travel slowly so that they hit the same area multiple times. They have scatter shots, so there's 3 of them at once, and they have impetus, and we have impetus on this as well, so that we gain more energy and can cast it more often. That's particularly helpful in longer boss fights, which you'll actually see at the end of the showcase. This really helps us just dump damage. Really, it's pretty cool. It looks fun as well. Next up, we've got another defensive ability. So we've got Ghost Dance. Basically, when we get hit, we recover energy shield equal to 5% of our evasion. It can only happen about once every 3 seconds. It's not the duration. That's how long it takes to generate a ghost shard, but I don't know how quickly you can consume them. I'm not actually sure. Someone can maybe let me know that one in the comments. I don't know if you can consume all 4 of them quickly that you have. If you can, then that's very good. But otherwise, you know, it's just a nice passive heal. We've got the extra spirit. In this, we're running fast forward, so we generate the ghost shrouds more quickly. We're running precision, although I think at this point I could probably drop that, but I don't have the 2 spirit needed to run a better aura, so we'll just keep precision in there for now, so look cool. Also running vitality for some extra healing, although again we can probably take out vitality as well at this point. We can take out vitality as well at this point, because what do we need the hit points for? And then we can probably look at potentially running a complete other aura as well at some point. We actually don't need either of those, I don't believe. But let's just have a quick look, right? Do we need them? 5 changes to the build. Oh no. Oh look, look, 100% hit chance. We don't need precision at all. So we can actually take those out and save ourselves a whole 30 spirit, which opens us up to use potentially another aura or something similar. We're also running Grim Feast, which helps us just keep our energy up. It's kind of overkill when we've got Meditate, but, you know, Meditate, you get hit, and then you pick up the little things, and you get some extra shield. This kind of works fine, and we've got plenty of spirit for it. I wouldn't advise cheaping out on a cheaper chest anyway, because you want the evasion rating, and you want the energy shield for survivability. But yeah, you can at this point drop out Vitality and Precision if you've been running those, or if you've been following the builds before, and you're switching over to an ES build. Make sure you double check that you don't need to run things like this. Save yourself some spirit. Alright, let's get into a build showcase of this then. So yes, just double check. This is why you want to get the 120 spirit, right? Because if we're going to transition this over to Herald of Thunder, then we drop those 2 auras, drop Precision, drop Vitality. We can actually fit in Herald of Thunder with everything that we're running. I've just slotted it on, although the build isn't quite ready for it yet. It is its next steps. So let's get into this build showcase and see what it can do and how fast it can farm its own currency to get itself onto the next step of the ladder. Alright, let's showcase this thing then. So we're going to backwash. It's got a map boss and a breach. I would say that this build's biggest weakness is its single target damage at its current state, so I think it's only right that we show off the map boss at the end of this. We've got +1 levels from Irradiated. It will be double corrupted from our Atlas. We've got the double corrupt going on, so who knows what's going to happen. In fact, we've got a pretty juiced up Atlas when it comes to making the keys a lot harder, but maximizing that loot. So let's see how we get. Let's see how the breach goes. I'm particularly excited for the breach. So we run in and we just start... Oh, there's the breach. We just start blowing stuff up. Let's open the breach and just blow everything up. So, contrary to recent advice out there on the internet, you probably shouldn't stay in the middle because stuff spawns on the outside. You want to be pushing out and grabbing these hands of extra breach splinters. Okay, cap modifier has just been added to the map. Cap modifier. It's okay. You don't mind a bit of cap modifier. What we do mind is we just want to make sure we're just blowing everything up. We'll come back and loot at the end. In fact, let's just turn the... well... I haven't actually used Meditate yet. Haven't really felt the need to. Still pushing this breach. More hands. Oh, look, Exalted Orbs. Sweet. All the loot. Any more breach monsters? Any more breach monsters? Oh, that was a fun breach. Probably quite a lot of loot back there on the floor. Hope we don't die. So, one of the great things about this is, we feel like we need a big juicy shield. We can just meditate and get a big juicy shield. And there we go. 13k shield. We can lose 200 of it immediately, 2,000 of it immediately. We just get battered, but it doesn't deplete, so we've got it there. Our Grim shards will top it back up as well. From our Grim Feast. The shards from our Grim Feast. So overall, the build works really well in terms of tank and survivability, and you can see the clear is just amazing. Really, really solid. And this is kind of low investment at the moment. I say kind of low investment. Definitely less investment than the Summoner, the Witch Summoner SRS minion build. I've put a lot less into this. I think I've put more into literally the jewels on that character than I have into this whole character. It's got about 4 divs on it. Well, no, 7. I did buy a perfect jeweler's orb, which has greatly increased the damage of Ice Strike. Made it much more pleasurable to play, getting that 5th jeweler's, that 5th socket there. But that's the only big ticket item we've brought. Everything else is, nothing else has cost more than 1 div. Or it's been self-crafted. Lucky self-crafts, but what it is. Gotta pick up those items and try and craft, you know, save yourself some pennies. Maybe make some pennies. This isn't the final iteration of the builders, by the way. There is a lightning version that seems to do a lot more damage, but it takes a lot more investment. So we will be taking this build down that path. That is a build that's being used by quite a few people, actually. It looks really strong. It does look very strong. And that drops the ring so we can go pile on the magic find. Oh, where's the... Okay, it's showing them on the map, but there's also another breach. We've got a second breach. Over here somewhere. Oh, awesome. Gotta love precursor tablets. Giving us extra breaches. Although this map sucks. Oh, look, there it is. Oh, we go again. Gonna blow everyone up. Gonna spawn more enemies. There's not enough enemies. There's not going to be any enemies spawning this way, are there? That's they're going to be spawning over this bridge. More breach people, please. Come on. We need more breach people. You're not spawning them fast enough. Double class dance. Let's go. Get the breach splinters. Breach splinters, I think they're going 5 for an X at the moment, so probably how we're going to make most of our money for this build is doing breaches, because this is just so easy. Right, we need to drop some of this crap. This is one big problem I found with the build, is it just accumulates crap. This is because I haven't sorted out my loot filter. One day I will sort out my loot filter, and there will be much rejoicing. I really don't know where they've put that boss, but anyway, let's go. We might as well loot this one while we're here. This one didn't drop particularly, drop a lot. Not a great spawn location for it. I maybe should have come north instead. Looks like probably, yeah, probably would have been better if I'd come north. I kind of went a silly way. My bad. Still, we're gonna make plenty. Cat is still sitting patiently. Don't even need to move out the fire. Oh no. Oh, we're very on fire, guys. Close, wasn't it? Alright, boss time. It's the Queen of Filth. Don't let her jump on us. This boss gave me some trouble in the campaign. Play. cards, yes, we've come to play. Oh. So as I said, I think single target is this build's biggest weakness by a mile. It's also a lot more... You need to actually press the correct buttons and things. Otherwise it all goes a bit wrong. But there you go. She didn't even break through our meditated shield. It's frozen the whole time. And I think that's definitely the build's weakest area, is killing bosses. That was a 4 mil boss. It's not the fastest boss killer, but it's a really good mapper. Build link and that and everything will be in the description, and as well as links to the videos going up through the journey, starting from Act 1 and then getting here. And there will be another video coming out as we take it to the super endgame. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help with the algorithm and all of that mathematical nonsense. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.